Happy Sunday, everybody. Steve here. It's been a while since I've done one of these devotionals, and it's been pretty busy. Things are hopefully going to get back to a manageable level here pretty soon. I start training next week, so I'm a week out. I leave a week from today. I'll be heading down for training, and looking forward to that, getting back and flying again. Back from vacation and everything else. I've got a couple more videos I took from Key West, little short videos, show for y'all. And then the plan today, get back in the kitchen. Ravishing Mrs. Ritter has a hankering for some roast chicken, so we're going to try that today. So I'll try to post that video this evening. I'll see how that goes. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe it'll be there tomorrow. Anyway, I was reading something today, or actually the other day, a little devotion. I was reading the Bible, and I was found a verse, and it reminded me of a time. I remember years ago, I was flying. I was at Altus instructing, and I at that point, of course, I was a schoolhouse instructor, so I was flying with students and everything, teaching them how to fly C-17, and we would fly with it. But we also had our own training that we had to do, recurring training, and so two instructors would go, and we'd go in the simulator, and we had to do phase training, is what we called it. It was recurring training that we had to do once a quarter. So it came time, and I went in there with this guy, and actually this guy had been there as an instructor a little bit longer than me. He had flown something else before, and we had gone through initial qualification together in the same class. And so we went through the sim. We were doing the phase sim and all that, and we got through and came back. And I don't know, I just remember, I don't know if he had something on his mind that day or what. He was just kind of a little distant, kind of, thinking of something else, whatever. Not really, we were, buddies and friendly with all of it. I mean, we weren't close friends or anything else. Anyway, I remember just having gone through that sim, and I just had learned a whole bunch. I just, it was a couple of things, and, like I always tell my kids, I mean, when you stop learning, you start dying. So I always want to learn. I always want to pick something new up. And I'm like, I didn't know that. Anyway, we're sitting there talking about something else, and just out of the blue, I just stopped, and I said, "Hey, Brett, I just wanted to tell you something." And he kind of stopped, and he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "I just want to tell you, man, I really enjoyed that." I said, every time I fly with you, every time I sim with you, every time I do anything with you, I learn something. And I just want to tell you, I appreciate that. I think you're a great pilot, and I just really appreciate you. And I always remember just the look on his face changed, and everything softened. It was just like he just completely was flabbergasted, that I would do this. And I learned a couple of things that day. I mean, I'm like, man, I felt better doing that. I felt better myself going, I opened myself up. I said, well, I'm like the God's gift to pilots. I mean, I can always improve. There's plenty out there that are better than me, and you humble yourself. Did I humble myself and lift up somebody else? I learned a couple of things that day. One, I mean, guys are awful about complimenting. And I've noticed that over the years. And I don't know what it is. If it's just, if you open yourself up when you compliment somebody, are you admitting weakness when you compliment somebody? I think that's what goes through the mind sometimes is, well, they're no better than me, so I'm not gonna, prop them up and make myself look bad or whatever. But it's the exact opposite happens. The exact opposite. I've found that when you really give a heartfelt, praise to somebody, when you really give a heartfelt hey, I love this about you. I appreciate this about you. You're really good at this. Like I said, it makes you feel good. And the other person, I found there's not the vast majority of the people will take that and go, oh, I appreciate that. And it really, there's a connection I find that happens between the two. Now, it's got to be heartfelt praise. And I mean, it's pretty obvious, and people will know if you're just, just trying to puff somebody up for something, and that's a lot of times what I think people are on guard about, is, well, what do you want? And, but when it's heartfelt and when you go, no, this is, so it's amazing to me. And over the years, I've made a point of doing this. And it's like I said, I think that's the trap I think Satan sometimes puts in our ear is, well, you're admitting weakness. And when the exact opposite happens, it strengthens bonds, it strengthens the ties with this person, and it strengthens your own core, and does that make sense? And anyway, I was thinking about that because I was reading in Psalm 51, verses 15 through 17. And David singing to the Lord, praying to the Lord, O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall show forth your praise. For you do not desire sacrifice, or else I would give it. You do not delight in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. These, O God, you will not despise. Heartfelt praise. And I think David there was, open my lips. It's so hard for us to praise other people, I think, sometimes, to reach out to other people and say, I appreciate this about you. I think that maybe is a little bit of what he's saying there. Open my lips so I can praise you. Let me humble myself and lift you up. It's not all about me all the time. Let me lift you up. And and when it's done genuinely, and when it's done with a pure heart, with the pure intentions, I really think a lot of you. I really praise you. And I was curious, what is a definition of praise? I like this this definition here. Praise. The word comes from the Latin pretium, price or value, and it may be defined generally as an ascription of value or worth. Praise may be bestowed upon unworthy objects or from improper motives, but true praise consists of a sincere acknowledgement of a real conviction of worth. So I value you, and I like this about you. I value you, and it just opens people up, and people appreciate that. And of course, praising God, he's certainly not unworthy. He's worthy of all of our praise. And to praise God, and you realize how much he does for you. You realize how much he's worth, how much difference he makes in our lives. You realize these things when you praise God. You realize that, and you feel better when you praise God. I just some thoughts I had on that. So I hope you have a great Sunday, and we'll see you next time. Take care.